Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night, everyone. Going into a discussion now on the NHL and the NBA, I think a lot of us are happy. The NHL is back after the lockout. It really, really continued for a long part in the offseason, and it cut off a lot of the regular season. But the NHL is back, and that's big news for Pittsburgh and Philadelphia fans. Starting with the Pittsburgh Penguins, a strong favorite in the Eastern Conference. Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby, they're all back. Very strong power play, very strong shootout. A really impressive team. Tim, what do you think about them moving forward?
Well, obviously, every year the Pittsburgh Penguins are a powerhouse team. They have a lot of firepower. Sidney Crosby is obviously the best player in the world. Getting him back with Evgeny Malkin, those two can work wonders together. And they always draw a lot of attention on the ice, and they find their teammates each and every time. So the Penguins, it's always up to them. If they want to go far in the playoffs, they have the coach and the team to do it. And it's just sometimes teams can get after them there. So the Penguins, I think their destiny lies in their own hands. They have too much firepower on paper to do anything they please, I think, this year. And
then, Jolie, looking at the other side of the state, what I like to call the dark side, Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Flyers. This is a team that has been struggling as of late. Maybe some issues with Brizgalov, maybe some issues with the defense. What really is the issue, and how does the future of the Philadelphia Flyers organization look moving forward?
Well, I'm going to tell you right off the bat that it's not a goalie problem, in my opinion.
All right.
I think that we all know Philadelphia has had goalie problems. That is a glaring issue. And Briz right now is getting the heat for maybe why we've had some losses, but he's played very well. He's been reliable, better than he has been last year, I think. And I think our problems really are in defense. And in a 48-game season, that's a problem. In a normal season, if we were struggling a little bit in the beginning, I wouldn't be worried. But right now, we have some injuries. We have a couple lost players. So with Hartnell's broken foot, I do think that there are some things to worry about for this team.
Sure. And Ryan, any other teams you think worth mentioning? Or?
I like the New York Rangers. And, I actually liked that. It was a big Pittsburgh win the other night, 6-3 over the Rangers, because I think that's the team that has the longevity to be able to get through this season.
I'd also like to give a shout out to the New Jersey Devils.
With their hometown favorite.
No respect going into the season with losing their captain, Zach Parise, coming back with a 3-0 start and still not losing a game in regulation yet. Pete DeBoer has his guys ready, and the system is flowing right now for that team, and they're going to make a run for the playoffs, and no one else expected it, so it's good to see it in New Jersey.
Now, guys, moving on to the NBA. NBA, always very fun to discuss about, and there's a lot of major headlines that we can go into. But first, before we do that, let's look at the Eastern Conference and Western Conference, respectively. First, who do you guys like out of the East?
Well, everybody likes the Miami Heat, I think. But the New York Knicks have looked excellent. Carmelo's on pace to be the scoring champion. He's playing out of his mind. You look at the Pacers, they're playing great defense. Their style of play is completely different, and they're able to keep teams in the 80s and 70s, which is unheard of in the NBA. And then I think if you look at the Sixers, they're going to be coming up. They're going to at least be making a playoff run, I think, once they get Andrew Bynum back and the team starts clicking that way.
Right, and Tim, who do you like for the West?
The West, I've always liked since the beginning of the year, San Antonio Spurs. They sit at the top of the Western Conference. Even though they have some age there, I think the experience will definitely help the Spurs. And in that Western Conference, it's going to be tough. It's going to be key for a playoff run. The age might get to them, but right now I still like the Spurs.
And Julie, those are our Eastern playoff and Western playoff predictions. Who would you say out of the two would win that matchup between maybe the Heat and the Spurs?
I'd have to go with the Heat. They're just a favorite in the NBA and have been a powerhouse in the NBA, so that's where my vote is.
Sure. You can't go wrong with LeBron James. I think we all know that. But looking, guys, more at the headlines, what has been, in your opinion, the biggest surprise so far in the NBA?
Well, I think the biggest surprise is the Lakers. Well, that's what everybody's talking about right now. But I think you look at Miami Heat and how long they took to adjust to this new star-studded roster, and guys need to learn how to play with each other and how to get used to each other. So I think that's a big factor, and I think they'll be better as time goes on.
Yeah, definitely the Lakers have been a surprise, but I'm going to give a nice surprise with the Chicago Bulls, losing Derrick Rose and still being at the top of that Eastern Conference. And Joakim Noah, and they're just doing it by committee. They're working hard each and every night, and now with getting Derrick Rose back, it's going to really help them in that Eastern Conference playoff run.
My surprise, I think the Warriors have had a great season. And but like you guys said, the Lakers, for the season, this is insane what's going on. The firing of a coach early in their season, their defense is ranked horribly among the NBA. And you just have Kobe and Howard right now that aren't. They're the leaders of the team, and they're not leading it in the same way.
Sure.
And that's their big issue.
Yeah, that's a good point. The fact that the Warriors, Golden City, I mean, they're almost stealing the sunlight, from even the Clippers. The Clippers are having a great year, but the Warriors are really, I think, taking the prize so far. If we look at players individually, you look at LeBron James or any other players around the league, maybe a Carmelo Anthony. Who is your NBA MVP at this point?
Well, if I'm going to go with the MVP, I'm going to say Kevin Durant. And I think he scores at will. He's able to just drive past defender. Unbelievable just how he's so undefendable almost. I think his biggest flaw is his point guard, Russell Westbrook, who I think just is holding on to the ball way too much and taking way too many shots, almost hurting his chances.
Yeah, definitely. I think Kevin Durant is a solid pick for the MVP, but also Carmelo Anthony is also in that hunt. He's had a great year for New York. He's really leading the Knicks to prominence, which we haven't seen in a while. So the Knicks are going to fight for an Eastern Conference bid in the NBA Finals, and it all starts with Carmelo Anthony.
I'll agree with you guys that Durant is the best shooter in the NBA right now, but if I was going to give an MVP this year, I'm going to give it to CP3. I'm giving it to Chris Paul because to be a player that takes a team that was just off the radar into a powerhouse in the NBA, you got to have some meat on you. He's really done something, and I think that's what's deserving of the MVP title this year.
Sure. It's a good pick. All are good picks. I'm a fan of all picks, but we're going to make a more important pick here after the break. We're going to look at the Super Bowl and analyze the game between the Ravens and the 49ers, the battle of the Harbaughs. I know we're hearing a lot about it. You're going to hear more about it right after the break here on Penn State Sports Night.